before you come in telling me what you can't do, why you can't do it, why it won't work for you, why don't you try it? Why don't you do what you can where you're at? Why don't you max out what you can do before telling me what you can't do?
5 shows made 3 million a week. You are now looking at the bestie elite. You are now looking at the bestie elite. You are now looking at the best.
Welcome back, besties. I'm Lola Shell, and together we're becoming the best, aka our best selves, this year and every year. The best are never the best by themselves, and you shouldn't be either. If you haven't already, join the best on YouTube by hitting that subscribe button and add your bestie by liking and sharing this with someone you want the best for. Now, grab your water and let's go. Here are the 10 things you need to change in your life today, aka right now, to be your best self in 2025 and beyond. Let's get into it. The first thing you're gonna do today to change your life right now to become your best self in 2025 is your bad habits, okay? We have to start with what's holding you back first. It doesn't matter how many great things that you start doing this year, if you're still doing the bad habits that have been holding you back every year since, okay? So this is your moment to actually sit down with yourself, get out a pencil, get out a paper, write down the bad habits that you know that you have. I understand that some bad habits you don't know are bad habits yet, or you're not aware that you actually do them. But we all know at least one bad habit that we actually choose to do, whether it's because it's just how you've always done it, whether it's because it's easy, whether it's because you just don't feel like you have the energy to change it. We all know at least one bad habit that we have. And today you need to write it down, because if you don't write it down, if you don't acknowledge it, you're not going to do the steps necessary to get rid of it so that all the good habits that you're doing and starting this year and beyond can actually be effective. All right? Okay. The next thing you're going to change in your life today, aka right now, to be your best self in 2025 is your lack of routine. All right. I've already showed you guys in a separate video. If I remember, I will link it here. And I talk about, and I give you guys a great analogy with water, okay? With filling your cup before you pour into other people's cups. And when you don't have a routine, you don't have a constant way to actually refill your cup, which means that you're just pouring out as the day goes because you don't have a routine to do otherwise. My suggestion is always to do an AM routine and a PM routine. So you're starting your day pouring into yourself and you're finishing your day kind of putting yourself back into balance, okay? It doesn't have to be this long 2-hour long thing, but having routines in your day is going to help free up your mind to have to think about certain things to do for yourself because it's already in your routine. And it's also going to allow you to have more energy, just really actually more you to give to not only yourself, but to others throughout the day. Make sense? Now, this next thing that you actually need to do to change your life in 2025 to become your best self is something that even I struggle with, right? And it's the lack of consistency, okay? Lack of consistency. It's one thing to have a really good habit. It's another thing to have a really good routine. But if you're only doing them every once in a blue moon, how can they really be effective? If you're only doing them every once in a while, how much are you really pouring back into yourself? How effective can they be? Like, you've got to do it day in and day out, which is why I'm oftentimes advocating for you guys to do things that are simple. You know, you don't have to start, and I've said this in previous videos, you don't have to start going to the gym and spend an hour and a half there when, you know, prior to this moment, you only went to the gym like once every 3 months. Like, take it step by step, you know, do the small steps and build them into bigger steps, but do your steps consistently. I would much rather you know, go to the gym for 10 minutes every single day out of the week than try to cram in doing an hour and a half workout once a week. Even though it's generally almost the same amount of time, the consistency makes it more effective because now you're less likely to skip a day at the gym, which means you can always increase how much time you're spending at the gym. But if you only go to the gym once a week to do like this really intense workout, then there could be a week that comes up that you're out of town and now you don't work out at all. Or, you know, a week where, you know, the day that you were supposed to work out, something came up and then you tell yourself you're going to do it next week. And then next week something comes up again and now you're back to not working out. That's just a small example of how consistency is going to trump intensity every single time. So if you're really serious about being your best self, you're going to have to increase your consistency. The next thing you need to change in your life today, right now, to be your best self in 2025 is a little controversial, okay? And the reason I say that is simply because you might think that you're not doing this. So what you need to change is your lack of commitment. Hear me out. In order to have consistency, you have to commit to being consistent. In order to have a good habit, you have to commit to having that good habit. In order to honestly do anything, you have to commit to doing it. And a lot of people, you might feel like, oh, like, what are you trying to say? Am I waking up every day saying I'm going to break every promise to myself? No, it's not even that. But if you're not committed to taking the action, you're never going to take the action. Okay, you could know, and this is going back to the gym. You could know that the gym is a good habit. You could know that it's something that you need in your routine. You could know that you want to consistently go there 7 days a week. But if you never commit to those things that you know, if you never commit to the idea, to the action, to executing, it will not happen. You could know what you need to do to be your best self, habit-wise. You can know what you need to have in your routine to start and finish your day. You can actually know what you need to consistently do every single day to accomplish your goals. But if you do not commit to those things, they're never going to happen. So something I'm going to challenge you guys to do right now is actually put one thing that you plan to commit to in the comments below. Like today, like as you're watching this, we're going to go through the rest of the tips. So don't even worry about that. They'll still be here. But really think to yourself, whether it's committing to putting together your routine, committing to writing down a bad habit, committing to being consistent with one new thing for the week. Like whatever it is, write down that commitment, because when you write it down and you actually commit to it, the likelihood of you executing it goes up exponentially, okay? And remember, we're trying to be our best self, not our better self, not our good self, our best self, all right? So really figure out what you're going to commit to today and put it in the comments below. All right, let's go on to the next tip. The next thing you need to change in your life today, right now, to be your best self in 2025 is something that you actually have help with now, okay? And that's your lack of accountability. And it's no longer going to be a problem because I'm here, okay? So if you're watching these videos, if you're actually being active, you're commenting in the comments of these videos, I'm, commenting back to you, we're talking, I'm dropping on here weekly. So all the things that we're saying we're going to do, there's no reason. The accountability is there, okay? And outside of me, we're growing an amazing community on here of people who are becoming their best selves. So even if I, for whatever reason, miss a comment or, missed a week, I know y'all are going to hold me accountable easy. Because I know the type of people who are going to watch this video. I'm going to do the same for you. And the other people in this community are going to do the same for you. Like, it's a community. We're building it. We're not just trying to think about becoming our best self. We are becoming our best self. Notice that's what I put in every single video. It is an action. All right. So when it comes to accountability for what you said and what you're doing, when you comment, oh yeah, I'm going to commit to writing down my bad habit today. When I comment back, oh, so what was the bad habit? Don't go silent. Don't go ghost. Let me know what it is, because you committed and you did it and you commented, and I'm holding you accountable to see if you were doing what you said you're going to do. So this accountability problem is not going to be a problem for long, especially if you are already subscribed, especially if you've already shared this with your best friend, and you're pulling people in that you care about. The accountability is accounted for. That's all I'm going to say, okay? The next thing that you're going to change in your life today, right now, to become your best self in 2025 is your lack of success. Okay, now hear me out. You're probably thinking like, oh, like, what do you mean lack of success? Like, because waking up today is success, right? Because there are some people who didn't. So let me clarify, all right? A lot of times the things that we accomplish, especially when you are used to like upward mobility, you're used to always outdoing your past self, a lot of times it causes us to overlook the things that we've done really, really well, right? So I'll give you an example from my career. Within 2 years of me starting to take modeling seriously, I had already modeled like outside of the country. right? There are some models to this day who have never been paid or otherwise to travel outside of the country to work a modeling job, right? For a long time, I didn't acknowledge that because I didn't get paid what I wanted to get paid. I didn't, get a repeat booking from it. Like, there was just a lot of things that I just overlooked it, and I was on to the next. What's the next job? How can I top this, etc. And a lot of times when you don't take stock of your successes, you don't think that you have any. Like, you've done stuff in your life, but you don't have any way to look back and say, oh yeah, I did do that. I did that too. I did that too. I did that too. And here's the problem with that, right? In the industry, we always say work begets work. There's nothing like being a model and being on set, because the energy that you get from being there, when your agency sends you like a callback or sends you like an audition and you're filming it on set and they're seeing like, oh, there's like this production behind you, or you have to say in your self-tape like, oh yeah, hey, I'm Lola Shell, da 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 da, I'm currently on set, so please excuse any background noise. And then you go into like the shots that they need for you to consider. The energy is there. They see that you're working. They want people who are working, because that means that other people know that you're good enough to have on this set, and they want you on their set too. Like, it's a great cyclical energy, right? And the same thing happens when you take stock of your success, right? But if you never take stock of it, you often forget what you've done in life, and then it, in a weird way, makes it feel harder to get your next success, because you don't have anything anchoring you and letting you know, like, hey, actually, like 2 months ago, you closed a really big client. A week ago, you actually celebrated 1 year of going to the gym. Or, hey, you really actually put on your makeup, you put on your outfit, you did your hair, and you went to a new coffee shop to work on your goals. Like, if you never write these things down, it makes it feel as though they're not happening, and that the next thing that you're trying to achieve is less likely to happen as well. So if you don't start taking inventory of your successes, you're going to continue to feel like you don't have any. So start writing them down. Even if, take a few minutes, you've already taken a few minutes for everything else, but the routines and the habits, take a few minutes, okay? And write down some of your recent wins in the last month, in the last year. Like, write them down. Spend some time with yourself. Really use this time to actually back up logically how you should feel about yourself emotionally. Because I know you've done great things. You know it too. But now it's time to actually write it down and do yourself a step beyond that, okay? I know you're about to write an essay by the time we're done with these tips, right? But do yourself a greater service and write down some of those successes that you've had in the comments below. I want to celebrate y'all. I want to big up y'all successes. Like, why not? Like, this is the perfect time to do that. All right, so drop that in the comments and let's go on to the next tip. Okay, so this next thing that you're going to need to change in your life today, right now, to be your best self in 2025 is a little interesting, right? And you really need to stop quitting the wrong things. And I know this might sound really like, well, how am I supposed to do that? What's the wrong thing? Hear me out. It's going to be easier to spot now because of the other things that we've been doing on this channel, where it's, putting together good routines, getting good habits, taking your foot off the brake, making commitment, building consistency. You're going to start to really be able to see what things that you're giving up on that you shouldn't, right? And I'm always going to give you guys an example inside of my career and inside of my life, because who would I be if I didn't, right? So, like, in my life, okay, I was classically trained in all forms of the arts. So whether it was like sketching freehand, the grand piano, ballet, tap, jazz, I did all those things when I was younger, right? I had no desire to be in the ballet, to play in a concert hall, to, compete in the Olympics. I didn't want to do any of those things. So once I had a understanding of the skill, I just stopped. Do I still use those things in other ways? Of course I do. Like, I can keep a beat. I can learn choreography. I can play a couple songs on the piano. I'm physically fit. Like, I use these things to my advantage, but I did not need to see them to mastery in my life. Make sense? Now, on the other side, right? Something that I felt like I quit too early. YouTube. Hear me out. I started my YouTube channel in like 2015. I had this show, Live with Lola. I would interview artists. It was very much so like hosting on YouTube. I had a camera, like an actual like DSLR camera, the whole shebang. But I was in college at the time. I was starting to pursue modeling. I had a part-time job. I had all these things going on, and I didn't want to invest the additional time to master YouTube. I just didn't. So I quit. If I had kept going down that road, right? Who knows? I could be hosting shows right now because I would have developed that particular show. I would have built it out. I would have kept it running. I probably would have had a podcast spinoff of it. Probably could have had merch. It could have been its own entity, and I would have been more into, still in front of the camera, but more into hosting, more into, more conversational interviews than modeling. I don't regret it, but had I realized what things I wanted in my life at that time, if I had routines, if I knew what my bad habits were, if I understood what I wanted to commit to, I would have fine-tuned those skills because they could have helped me well throughout my modeling career. As far as documenting it, taking people along, just actually like adding another element to myself as a model that I could bring to clients, that I could bring to sets, that could put me a step above the rest. But because I quit, because I just had my hands full, that's a set of skills that I'm now re-dabbling into here on YouTube. And even though I have a camera, and even though I have like lighting and stuff like that, I'm rocking out with my phone, right? I'm rocking out with my phone. I'm starting from scratch. I'm getting used to my editing style. I'm relearning a lot of things and how I want to present myself now, even though over a decade ago I started. So when you actually take inventory of what you want to do, why you want to do it, what's conducive to it, you can see what things actually fit into going the extra mile, going beyond, just the simple understanding and working your way towards mastery. You'll be able to deem and understand which one of those things are actually important, because you'll actually know what you're trying to do. And it makes understanding what not to quit much more, I won't say like feasible, but it makes it easier to see. That's what I'll say. All right, let's go into the next tip. The next thing that you need to change in your life today, right now, to be your best self in 2025 is the excuses. Okay? The excuses, the endless excuses. Oh my goodness. Stop. I always love to tell my models inside the university when I'm coaching models that there's always going to be somebody who has less than you but is doing more than you. All of these excuses have got to stop. The excuses are why you are where you're at, modeling or otherwise. The excuses are going to keep you where you're at, modeling or otherwise. You have got to quit with the excuses. And I remember one of the videos on my channel, at this point, there's quite a few because we're rocking and rolling, right? One of the videos, I actually put like a disclaimer at the end, and I was like, you guys thought I forgot? No. Before you come in telling me what you can't do, why you can't do it, why it won't work for you, why don't you try it? Why don't you do what you can where you're at? Why don't you max out what you can do before telling me what you can't do? Okay? And if you're really serious about becoming the best, I shouldn't have to say that. Okay? But I understand people are in different phases of their best journey. Sometimes the self-doubt, the headspace, etc. I get it, baby. That's why I go to therapy. I know it's not for everybody, but I go to therapy so that I can have somebody who is professionally trained to really show me the things that are keeping me where I'm at. Hello. Okay? I'm not saying that you have to get therapy. I'm not saying that, the Lord doesn't work. I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying that however you choose to get your mind right, you have got to stop the excuses. Because it doesn't matter what actions you're trying to take. If you have an excuse, because there's always an excuse for everything, for anything, all the time, you are going to cop out. Okay? And your journey is going to take much longer than it needed to because you're, but stop it. Oh my gosh, stop it. All right? I didn't get here with excuses. You won't get where you're trying to go with excuses. So stop them. Do yourself a favor. Next tip. I I know this next thing that you need to change in your life today to be your best self in 2025 and beyond is going to ruffle some feathers. But you need to stop saying that you can't. Okay? You need to stop saying that you can't, you cannot. All right? You need to take that out of your vocabulary. All right? And the reason I say it might ruffle some feathers is because I am very well aware there's some things that you physically should not, could not, and you just won't do. You know what I'm saying? Being able to swap your arm with your leg, like, naturally, at a whim. Like, I understand that you can't do that at this space and time, and you probably shouldn't do that at this space and time. But the second you say you can't, it becomes true. There's a quote, and I know somebody's going to tell me in the comments, but it's infamous. And it says, like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. So when you say, oh, I can't do that, you're now correct. Even if it's something that you could have done in a smaller way, in a different way, later on in life. Saying you can't right now makes it true right now. Okay? If you're trying to become your best self and all you ever do is say, oh, well, I can't get up an hour early. Oh, well, I can't make it to the gym. Oh, well, I can't watch my weight. Oh, well, I can't travel to a new country. Oh, well, I can't. It's always going to be true. And I'm never going to argue with you. Okay? In fact, y'all could quote me on this video. Anytime somebody says in the comments, oh, I can't do something, I'm going to say, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. So, how do you want to be correct? It's up to you. And you can stay there. Like, this is the thing about the best, right? It is not my job to convince you that you're the best. That's your job. My job is to give you the tools and the insight and the things that you might not know to make that process a lot easier. But if you don't think you can be the best, you're right. I'm not going to argue with you. You're you. Who knows you better than you? So if you really want to take all the things that I've told you, all the tools that I've given you so far, and you actually want to be able to use them, you have to stop saying you can't. Because when you say that you can't, you make it a reality. Your best self doesn't say they can. Your best self does. Your best self can. Your best self will. The second that you say that you can't, that version of your best self is no longer possible. Why would you do that? You wouldn't. Take can't out of your vocabulary. All right? All right, let's get into that last tip, guys. You made it all the way to the end, and this one is really, really necessary. The last thing that you need to change in your life today, right now, to be your best self in 2025 is saying you will start tomorrow. Tomorrow is where momentum, dreams, and goals go to die, okay? There's a reason why they say, don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Because the action you take today makes tomorrow possible. It makes it easier. It makes it more attainable. I'm just saying, I think that's something that we all know, but you'll watch a video and be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll just start later. Oh, my day is too busy. I don't think, out of the 10 things that I showed you guys so far, right? You can do at least one of them today. I didn't say you have to do everything. You can do one thing today. You can start. Start and finishing are two different things. I think we get this confused as like, being the best. Like, if I'm going to start something, I'm going to finish it. We love that. But starting and finishing aren't always done in the same day. Okay? You may start making a sandwich and finish eating it today, but the bread that was like created for that sandwich was not planted one day and processed the next. It had to have time to grow into wheat and then be taken from the wheat to be processed and then be taken from the process to be packaged and then taken from the packaging to be shipped to the store where you bought it and then taken from the store where you bought it through purchasing it. And then take it home and then craft it into a sandwich. So even if you start something and finish something the same day, that is not true for everything in your life. But you can always start. You can always plant the seed. You can always buy the bread. You can always start making the sandwich, okay? But you need to start. Nothing can be finished without starting. So start today. You cannot finish becoming your best self. You cannot finish, really elevating this year if you never start. So start today. All right. You should have by this time dropped something in the comments. And if you haven't, drop start right now. All right. With that being said, let's close us out. That's all for today, besties. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and comment your best tip below. Remember, the best is yet to come, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.